What is going on? It's Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we're going to be doing our 49ers 7-round 2025 NFL mock draft. If you are new, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. You guys know how to do that thing. We just reached 16K, which is incredible. Thank you guys so much for that growth. I mean, obviously, this has been a passion project of mine that you guys have made far more of a reality than I ever could have expected. So thank you for that. Let's continue on. And again, below my face is my board, and it's completely transparent. It is not predictive. These are players who I just fell in love with and I'm very passionate about. I always back it up with all 22 clips over on X. Feel free to follow me there. Or if you want to support the show, feel free to go use that code UnderDog Fantasy. You can spend $10 if you want to on me, or you can send it over there, potentially make some as well. And they send me 60 when you use the code HAILMARY. So it's a little money glitch right there, if you will. But also, it's a great company. Play legally, play responsibly. Let's get into this. Let's have a great time. We are going to be referencing the Our Lads depth chart just so we understand, basically where the team is at. But let's see, with the roll of the dice, this is a live mock draft. Whoa, some crazy shit ended up happening, but we are in an interesting spot. I'm not going to be doing this for all of it. It's just I'm curious based on Trev's board how the simulator does stuff. And Abdul Carter slipping to 9. Let's just forget that happened. But this is a relatively realistic view at what could be on the board at number 11. So let's look at the depth chart really quick before we truly dive into the actual picks, because I think that it's worth it so that we understand exactly what we need to focus on. So wide receiver wise, I know that Debo is potentially on the way out. I don't know. Petco is really using their ad revenue or their ad money on me right now, and it's not going to work, FYI. But Debo's been mentioned in some trades. I'm not going to be doing any of those today. I think there is a chance you go for Myles Garrett, but if the rumors pick up, I think it'll be after free agency, and we're going to be doing another one of these. I'll try to get I got a couple Niners guys that I have lined up, so we'll see who we end up bringing on. Shout out some good Niners content creators below. But wide receiver wise, Jawan is going to be here for one more year. Debo might be out, so wide receiver might be a move in the middle rounds for sure to be able to get that extra depth so that you don't have to force a need when you have one. But love Jacob Cowing, by the way. Love that for depth, and of course Sticky Ricky, the GOAT himself. But you guys have a good wide receiver core. Everybody knows that. Trent Williams, the GOAT. You obviously want to be able to develop underneath him for a hot minute. And so you guys don't get, again, blindsided by losing probably your most valuable offensive asset without having a contingency plan. So we'll be focusing on some offensive tackle talent. Maybe not at the top of the draft, but we'll focus on that in at least the second round. But interior offensive line, we do need to fix, at the very minimum, Aaron Banks. Not really a fan of Jake Brendel, just going to be honest. And don't get on me for pronunciations. If you can tell, I am not built to pronunciate names correctly. And that's how you know. If someone pronounces names properly, there's a 50-50 chance that they're not very good at analysis. But if they mispronounce things, there's a higher percentage chance. I'm not saying that I'm in the higher percentage chance that they're good, but I will tell you that I'm at least honest with what I do. But right tackle absolutely should also be focused on as an upgrade. I do think that left guard, center, as well as right tackle are big issues for this team. Again, wide receiver for a little bit of a mid to late round focus right there. But offensive line is going to be the focal point of this. George Kittle, I've heard that you guys are trying to extend him, so I do think that's going to be what, we definitely need to get a backup tight end in here. Again, these ads are ridiculous. Look at this, Lumen. I didn't even know they had a face mask, but I digress. Quarterback-wise, we can absolutely just bring a veteran on or just sign somebody or take somebody late. I know that the quarterbacks really like to slip in these mock drafts, so just going to say, from experience, we can end up focusing on that. Running back-wise, I think you're chilling. Garendo, McCaffrey, Jordan Mason's an RFA. I totally think you guys are going to be perfectly fine with Israel Abanikanda, super deep. Shout out to Kyle Juszczyk. But defensive line-wise, defensive interior, absolutely a focus. But I do think, and I'm going to project for this mock draft, which again, free agency will have a lot more clarity. This is where Milton Williams is going to go. Happened with Javon Hargrave. I think it's going to also happen with Milton Williams. So I'm going to kind of ignore the defensive interior for that. And I already know there's going to be enough people who ignore this part of the video to where I'm going to have to answer that a billion times, but it is what it is. Edge rusher absolutely is an issue. So we're going to be addressing that as well. A will linebacker 100% is something to focus on as well, along with a Sam linebacker. Adios, Devondre Campbell. You absolutely suck. You are a bum. I do not like players who are locker room cancers. And he popped up in my timeline a couple days ago. Not a fan of that. Cornerback-wise, I do think you get one more boundary corner. And so it would be interesting if Azareye'h Thomas slips to the second, whether you guys, which he won't, but he will in this mock draft if you pair him up with Renardo Green. But we'll be addressing a boundary corner spot, no doubt. I do think that you need to continue to look at the boundary corner spot. Chavarius says he doesn't want to be there because, again, it kind of reminds him of the death of his child. Rest in peace to that. That really does suck. But safety-wise, I don't think there's going to be a market for Hufanga. I don't really think there's going to be any competition. I think he stays. So you have a pretty damn solid defensive backcourt. I think you guys are going to do fine. But the real focus is edge, linebacker, boundary corner, offensive line. Like, that's really where I'm going to be focusing the most of this. And then we are now at pick number 11. So you could go after defensive interior here. Again, I ended up, for those of you guys who are now tuning into this portion, I'm projecting Milton Williams to be the signing for the Niners. It just makes a lot of sense. It's what you did with Javon Hargrave. I can see it continuing that way. So defensive interior off the board, so to speak. James Pierce makes a ton of sense here. Like, bottom line, what I'm looking at is James Pierce, Will Johnson. I think Tyler Warren is not going to be someone you want to take here at 11 if you extend George Kittle, which is what the rumors are. Genty would be super fun, but I just don't see a big enough role carved out for him. So James Pierce would end up being the Mike McDonald for Robert Saleh. Like, that's my vision for that. But we also have players who could end up filling that role later on. And we have Will Johnson here at 13 that I really, really like. Here's my one big issue. Because unlike the draft, we know how this board is structured. Edge will be kind of eviscerated by 75. Like, you're going to get lucky if Josiah Stewart's there or Jordan Birch. So I honestly do think that we need to prioritize that earlier than corner, which corner will slip. And honestly, you can also sign somebody. I heard that you guys are a top landing spot for Asante Samuel. But I mean, talking about Noel Williams here at pick 99, I think that's a great understudy to have with that group. So you might not love this. And again, offensive line absolutely should be looked at. But at this spot, I don't trust the offensive lineman enough. And I know what will be there at 43 is an offensive lineman like Ozzy Trapilo that I have a ton of faith in. So again, you can go offensive line here all you want, but I do think that the most valuable return on investment is to go after my true number 2, but technically number 3 player in the class, and that is James Pierce Jr. Again, you might say it doesn't fit the Niners. It fits Robert Saleh. He was the one who drafted Mike McDonald in the first. Is it Mike? Will McDonald. I don't know why I say Mike McDonald. Will McDonald, the 4th, in the first round, who was 236 pounds. And so it is a perfect fit because it is right on key. And yeah, there's some questions over his personality and all this stuff, but personally, I don't take a ton of stock in that the way that maybe some others would. Ooh, we got a curveball here at 43. Jahad Campbell slips, and Jahad Campbell would be a freak here in San Fran. Wow. You got Tyler Booker as well, which is nearly impossible to say no to. Unbelievable choices for us to have, because Booker is like, it's pretty obvious that he should be taken a lot earlier. I don't know why Trev has him rated that low. The guy I was looking at is Ozzy Trapilo here, but I mean, again, for the sake of being original, like, and not doing something I've already recycled, like, I don't want to recycle a ton of picks all the time. Tyler Booker and Jahad Campbell, those are the guys I'm looking at right now. Again, we already went after James Pierce, so the linebacker or the edge portion of Jahad Campbell wouldn't be necessarily as valid here, but I do think we need to focus on the offensive line. We could get some developmental offensive tackle value as time progresses. Maybe get a Jonas Savania to develop for a year at 75, like Emory Jones, a Johnny Cornelius, Jack Nelson. Honestly, Jack Nelson's going to be a great pick for us at like 138. I'm going to say that it's going to be my developmental left tackle pick for us, but trying to address the offensive line and get our best bang for our buck, honestly, Tyler Booker's perfect. It really is. Again, Jahad Campbell's awesome. Like, that'd be great. But I do think that now since we took an edge rusher, we do kind of need to limit the value of what Jahad Campbell could be on this squad. And so I'm actually going to go after Tyler Booker here out of Alabama. And, the highest floor interior offensive lineman, hands down. Oh, my God. No. Ozzy Trapilo slips. Oh my God. You guys don't know how much. Well, I guess you do. He's sitting there at number 17 on my board. Like, I love Ozzy Trapilo. And he looks good in, whatever you call it, like crimson or like maroon and gold. Like, red and gold are his colors, man. This guy is so good. I don't think I can pass on him at this point. Again, I've taken him like 1 or 2 times before, but we're at that point where we're at the 11th video I've made. I'm perfectly fine taking him here. And again, he is someone who has right and left tackle versatility. You look at the Senior Bowl, he took reps and had success at both of them. So I love that. We've already, again, dressed edge as well. I do think corner, with Asante Samuel Jr. probably being the case, because I heard that you guys are the top landing spot for him. Not going to be a super high priority early on. Again, there's some other guys here. Jeffrey Bossa, I actually really like. And again, I could go Azareye'h Thomas here because it's cute. You pair him back up with Renardo Green. I personally do not think that Azareye'h nor Nick should be remotely available here. And I think out of respect for reality, because Nick's going to blow up the combine, he's going to be insane. Azareye'h is too, and he's really damn good. I cannot see them being here at 75. And out of respect for reality, as much as I want to give you like a super clean mock draft, I think it's more likely Ozzy Trapilo could slip here to 75 than those other two. So I'm going to continue investing in the offensive line here with Ozzy Trapilo, because this is like my dream team for Trapilo. So I think that's worth it. Oh my God. Again, I cannot see Harold Fannin slipping this far. Like, it's almost to the point where it's like, yeah, I can't do that. I literally cannot force myself to do that for you guys. Noel Williams is that type of player that I kind of want to roll the dice on, but we have pick number 111, and I could just pray that he ends up slipping there. Again, this is a live mock draft. Quick recap, we have fixed the offensive line essentially off the bat. Booker, Trapilo, and then defensive line-wise, we got James Pierce. Linebacker-wise, because we still need to look to potentially invest there. You do have Barrett Carter, who would be really fun, but honestly, free agency might be the better route for linebacker in retrospect. And then, of course, because I didn't expect for us to get blessed by my favorite tackle, arguably in the class, Ozzy Trapilo, slipping, I would have probably, in retrospect, gone after Jahad Campbell, because that just would have been insane. But we're still here at 99. Our decisions have consequences again. Remember, we also have Milton Williams and technically Asante Samuel Jr. Those are kind of guys who I assume you guys will be going and spending your money on. We could go for that backup tight end right now with Harold Fannin. You guys like guys who can block, and Harold Fannin, extremely underrated as a blocker. But I just think it's so disingenuous that he would go at 95 or 99 even, for that matter. I mean, it's just, he is legitimately on a lot of people's boards tight end too. And he has played in line, and he's been able to block some of the best players, and it doesn't seem like it's that big of an issue for him. So I don't get the hate. Like, if I'm just going to be honest, I don't get the hate. And I might end up pulling it because I'm not going to take Harold Fannin for too many teams. And so I really do like that for you guys. The other one I'd mention here is Aeneas Peebles. If we go back, again, we've already addressed left guard. We already got our backup swing tackle as well to develop to either be the future right tackle, potentially start off the bat as well, or even be the successor to Trent Williams. But again, that backup tight end spot is really, really lacking. Really lacking. And I would love to be able to add him as a receiving weapon as well. Shout out to Geico for spending their money on us. But linebacker-wise, again, might just have to go to free agency for that one. But, corner, absolutely still, but we already talked about it as well. I honestly think the best move forward would be to go after a tight end here with Harold Fannin. Worst case scenario, if Harold Fannin's not here, Terrence Ferguson's honestly a really solid tight end too. Like, that's a really good get. So we're going to go after Fannin here, which is, again, insane value. We go Jalen Milroe and have him be a running back at this point. That'd be insane. That'd be ridiculous. Can you imagine that? Insane. But here at pick number 111, again, quick recap. We've gotten some offensive firepower along with our building through the trenches with Pierce and then Milton Williams as well. And then also we are assuming that, Asante Samuel Jr. would be coming to this team based on the probability. So there is that. And I'm getting that, like, if you guys are wondering, like, hey, where are you getting that information? I'm just going to be honest. I'm taking it from another Niners YouTuber. Shout out to, oh my God, why did I just forget his name? I ended up going on a show a couple years ago, so I'm tripping balls. But, man, I can't believe I forgot his name. So apologies about that. But regardless, 49ers YouTuber, he streams all the time. He posts a shit ton of content, so I should honestly remember his name. But no disrespect to my boy. But regardless, that's where I ended up seeing it. So I do think that there is going to be a high likelihood, because it ended up saying top option, that he's not just going to bullshit. fingers crossed it's not the case. But let's look at defensive interior again. Even though we already addressed it, I still think there's room to have some extra rotation in there. And again, we fixed that edge spot already. And like, we do already have technically the top 2 defensive interiors, but what I'm really looking at right now is Jamari Caldwell and placing him with Milton Williams for a crazy athletic defensive interior duo. I really like what we could do with that. And again, we have, I was talking about, I was looking at offensive tackle Jack Nelson. We don't even need to do that anymore. But like, I do really like the idea of the prospect of a Jamari Caldwell in this squad. And it kind of erases the need to go after Milton Williams if you guys don't get him. So it is what it is. Jack Kaiser, I've taken once before. And honestly, this is a great team for Jack Kaiser. He's sub 230. It says 231 there, but he's like 228 at the Senior Bowl. Like, so he might very well be here. But this dude is just super duper polished. He's a very good linebacker and honestly a very good dude. So I ended up, I think I ended up taking him for, no, it's actually not in a 7-rounder, but I ended up taking him like early on in a 7-rounder. So I have enough distance from when I took him last to feel comfortable taking him here to assist in the linebacker spot. So at 138, again, quick little recap of what we've done. We've been going heavy trenches, y'all. Heavy trenches. And then we got a couple of lower value players here with excellent value for the spot in Fannin as well as Kaiser. So honestly, this is like a really, really good spot to be in. You could go for a 3rd tight end right now. I don't see that as valuable. Kyle Williams literally is by definition, even though I just took him for the Chicago Bears, I will be honest, he is built to be a 49er. Like, this guy has ridiculous after the catch ability. 21 missed tackles forced on 70 touches, 70 receptions. Not going to lie, he is insane. And he's my wide receiver, what is he, wide receiver 8 or 7? So feel free to go check it out. I ended up dropping an hour-long top 32 wide receiver video. Some of y'all said that it was a little bit rushed, and I apologize that it felt rushed. Honestly, my goal was just not to give you guys another 2-hour video. So I tried to get all the content in within like an hour to hour and a half, and it was successful, but it is what it is. We're going to go after Kyle Williams here because I'm going to break my rule just a little bit because I think that he is an excellent, developmental guy under Deebo Samuel because he's great after the catch. And, he's a little bit short. I think he's around 5'10 and a half and about 186, but this dude is he is so good. And he showed out at the Senior Bowl. At 186, you got Byshul Tootin, the number 22 pick in Chad. It wasn't Chad Reuter's mock, but it was another CBS guy, even though Chad Reuter's NFL Network. But 186, again, looking at what we've done, we've addressed a lot of issues. That's the problem with having so many picks is like, all right, well, like, let's get on with it, boys. Let's get on with it. But, looking at, I do think you bring back Fufanga. There's no need to really look at the safety room in that aspect. Like, running back, you could get Byshul Tootin at this point. Taj Brooks, I feel like, serves a similar role to what you kind of already have with Garendo in terms of the size and explosiveness, but Garendo has that straight line speed that Taj does not. Byshul is just like a bowling ball, man. He like bounces off a lot of contact. I got a lot of love for him, but I mean, he's not a bowling ball necessarily. Like, he's built well, but it's like Taj Brooks is a bowling ball. He's like 5'10", 230, but still, Byshul Tootin's good value here, just probably not for us. Looking at other players, we could go Shamir DK or Chimir. And he ended up correcting me. It's Chim DK. Really, really fun player to talk to. I got to meet him in the Senior Bowl, but could be someone that you grow and develop underneath as well. The wide receivers are going to slip in this. It is what it is. But Efton Chisholm, shout out to him. You got Jimmy Horn Jr. there as well. Not many players or not many positions I think need actually like a ton of love right now. Maybe this is where we end up focusing on what is available at that backup corner spot. Shout out to Jalen Smith. I've taken him way too many times in this, and I honestly think that some teams will view him as a slot. So I'm going to try to avoid him for the time being. Jabbar Muhammad honestly would be a really good 49er, though. That's going to be one of my later picks. Probably will be my last pick at 255 is Jabbar Muhammad. So we're going to kick that can down the road. We already gone after wide receiver. Could go after the quarterback here, but kind of feels a little premature. I think you guys agree. It's a little premature to go after a quarterback here, even though Brosmer would be extremely fun to go after. Honestly, let's just go offensive line. Like, there's no issue in continuing to bolster the offensive line here. And unfortunately, we do not get the blessing of being able to go. Where did Jack Nelson go? At 177. But here, honestly, I want to develop Holland Pierce. Let's do it. 6'8", 360. Oh, I thought he was 360, 340. Whoop-de-doo. But this dude's an absolute animal, and he was really solid at the Shrine Bowl. So I really want to develop him. Logan Brown, crazy athlete as well, could totally be developable on the squad, but I want to go after a true left tackle there in Holland Pierce. Okay, at 227, we have the quarterbacks dropping again. Tyler Shuck is, getting a lot of love right now. Could end up just taking him for some depth quarterback play here and call it a day right there. Honestly, not a bad idea. We'll go after Tyler Shuck. He does kind of have some injury concerns, but, talent-wise, he is one of the better quarterbacks in the class at 227. Kind of worth the risk. So we'll go after him right there. At 231, again, looking at what's available, not really much has changed. Obviously, we were in close proximity to what we were going after. Like, looking at what we have drafted, honestly, I would like to go after an edge rusher that has a little bit bigger of a frame. So I'm looking at Johnny Walker, that over 250. Colin Oliver's a little bit too small, but Johnny Walker is the guy who I'm looking at the most. 6'3", 255. He did a really good job at the Shrine Bowl as well, and he stood out, and he's had some really good games this past year. I mean, look at that, 10 sacks on the year. I think, 40 pressures total, 15% pass rush win rate. I think it's over like 22 for true pass rush. And so at 231, I'm going to roll the dice on him. And hoping that we do not get sniped with Jabbar Muhammad, and I don't think we did at 255. We're going to get ourselves Jabbar Muhammad, who I love to death. I got to meet him in person as well. Really good guy. We'll try to get him on the show. We follow each other on Twitter, which is hype. But he's a boundary corner who is 5'10", 185. But, he has that slot versatility. He's aggressive as hell. Like, really, really good dude. Being severely underrated. My only issue with Jabbar, in all actuality, there's two issues. One, in zone coverage, he kind of puts on blinders. He focuses on the guy that he's playing, that is in his zone, and then doesn't really focus on how the play is developing around him. I saw that kind of get in his way a couple times. But the biggest one is, it's kind of weird to say this, and I wish we kind of understood this more. His leg length is very short. Like, he has a very tall torso, so he has to take a lot more steps to cover distance. I don't know why leg length is not something that people focus on, because we focus on arm length, but stride length kind of matters. But yeah, it does end up showing up in the 10-yard split and the 40-yard dash. But I do think it's a figure I wish I saw more, because I literally looked at Jabbar. I'm like, man, your legs are short. But, this dude plays the game of football very, very well. And he's very physical. And I know he has really good ball skills. And he's gonna interview very well. So that is going to be the video right there. So recapping exactly what we did. We went for the defensive line, James Pierce, Johnny Walker, Milton Williams as well, along with Jamari Caldwell, kind of a full recomp of the defensive line. Similarly, we did that for the offensive line as well. Booker, Trapilo, Pierce, like developmental and instant starter. I love that because we need a developmental left tackle with crazy potential. Holland Pierce provided that. Weaponry, we got Kyle Williams to develop it over Debo, essentially, if he's gone. And then Harold Fannin Jr. as that backup tight end. I love where we're sitting at there. Linebacker-wise, we're having Jack Kaiser into the mix. And then for corner, we decided to take a swing late because right now the rumor is that Asante Samuel Jr. is supposed to be the front runner. And we got Jabbar Muhammad to play as a depth guy. So I ended up falling in love with this draft. I mean, again, it doesn't have crazy potential the way that maybe you guys would want it to. But, I mean, James Pierce has a clear vision in the defense. Tyler Booker, instant impact on offense. Same thing with Ozzie Trapilo. You get instant upgrades there. And then you have firepower for days. And I really like how this ended up turning out. Again, it's not the most flashy mock draft in planet Earth, but I really, really did like it. And I hope you guys did too. Thank you so much for watching. Love you. See you on the far side. Peace.